Once again, it's time for the Consultant's Corner here on the Jobs Pipeline radio program, brought to you by Genesis Oil and Gas. And joining me in the Radio Lounge comfy chairs, as always, is John Mitton, president of Mitten Media.
Well, thank you, David. This week I want to talk about a subject that's near and dear to many CEOs, CFOs, and that's cost to hire. Or how much does it actually cost a company to hire someone? I really want to focus in on the cost of recruiting new employees. And David, since you happen to be our resident specialist and senior consultant, I'm going to turn things around and I'm going to interview you this week.
All right.
All right, so let's talk about a typical situation. What are some of the costs associated with recruiting new employees?
Well, John, the most basic costs are as follows. Number one, recruiters and the payroll costs and benefit costs of having recruiters working for your company to find and convert candidates into new hires. Now, depending on the size and the revenue of a company, a single recruiter can cost anywhere from $30,000 a year to $150,000 or even more.
I hear the cash register going.
Yeah, exactly. Now, add on top of that the fact that you have to pay payroll taxes and you have to pay benefits. And, you're looking at an additional overhead of, say, about 27% of their salary on top of what they're earning. And then, of course, there's the cost of supporting your recruiters with the tools that they need to do their job, such as specialized software, your telephone costs, database costs, job posting, and advertising costs.
If they're going to be professional associations, go on trips, recruiting trips.
Exactly. Here's an example. A large company may be paying up to $500,000 a year just for LinkedIn services and support. So let's add that all up, and we see that a good recruiter can cost a company anywhere from, say, $50,000 to $400,000 a year in salary and costs associated with just them doing their job.
Well, what are some of the other costs that work their way in?
Well, there's a number of factors. Many firms will rely on third-party outside recruitment firms, or what you and I would call a contract recruiting company. Now, those companies sometimes charge a flat fee, but many of them charge a percentage of the new hire's annual salary for finding the candidates for you. Now, these fees can range anywhere from a few $1,000s to $50,000 or even $100,000 per new hire.
That adds up.
It does. So not only do you have your normal costs, but then you have to tack on the amount what amounts to a finder's fee on top of everything else.
Okay.
So in most cases, these outside recruitment firms are just recycling resumes of people who are out of work, which we both know are the less desirable candidates.
We've heard stories of employers bumping into recruiters on the same website and said, hey, wait a minute, we're not paying you to do this.
Exactly. The best candidates are those that are working for your competitor, the ones that you can convince to come to work for your company.
So what kind of impact does this have on the bottom line?
Well, let's break it down in terms of how much the recruiter can actually do. Just because a recruiter contacts someone doesn't mean they will actually take the job. So a recruiter may be on the phone all day, but based on Mitten Media's extensive knowledge and relationship with recruiters and our client managers, we've found that a really good recruiter can bring in on average of about one new hire per week using the old source them, contact them, and then sell them on the job concept.
So that's source them, contact them, and do the sales job.
Right. So that's 52 new hires per year per recruiter. If your cost to support a recruiter are running about $500,000, then each new hire is costing you over $10,000 alone in recruitment costs. Now, if the recruiter can only hire one new person every 2 weeks, the cost goes to $20,000 per candidate.
Okay, as we've heard many times, isn't there a better way? Help us out.
Absolutely. The biggest factor driving up recruitment cost is time. Sourcing candidates, finding them, contacting them, and then selling them on the job.
How has Mitten Media solved that problem?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question because Mitten Media dramatically reduces cost to hire for our clients in many ways. But first and foremost, we reduce the time to hire by eliminating two steps, sourcing and contacting. How? Because we drive qualified candidates directly to our clients. And here's an example of how we do it.
Attention, EPC professionals with LNG or ethylene experience. CB&I need you, and we need you now. Our success is built on our core values of safety, ethics, and teamwork. If these values are important to you, then we need to meet and talk. CB&I is now hiring for LNG or ethylene facilities design and construction, engineering leads with experience leading teams of 20 plus on a single project, piping designers, plant layout designers, project lead expediters, project logistics managers, senior and lead schedulers with LNG experience, and project controls managers. Are you ready to be challenged, appreciated, and rewarded?
We offer our clients a variety of options when it comes to getting the message out. In this case, they wanted Mitten Media to use radio with the creative message that told listeners why their life would be better by coming to work for CB&I to drive qualified candidates to the hiring fair. How did that lower the cost to hire?
Well, real quickly, by using radio, we reached so many people. We drove over 400 qualified candidates to the hiring fair. They made over 100 job offers, and they closed in over 50% of them, which drove their cost to hire down to $1,200.
Wow.
That means in one day, Mint Media produced more new hires than a single recruiter could produce in a year.
And that's why we don't use cookie cutters at Mitten Media.
That's right. So if you want to learn more about how Mint Media can deliver better candidates faster and a much lower cost to your bottom line, send us an email at info@mittenmedia.com. That's info@mittenmedia.com. Coming up next, how golf can increase your business. That's next on the Jobs Pipeline radio program, brought to you by Genesis Oil and Gas, with a deeper understanding.